What's up, everybody? Trevor here again. It's day number 10 on Facebook Live. Double digits. Hell yeah. Today I got a fun story for you guys. Well, funny. I didn't think it was very funny at the time, but in hindsight, hey man, you live and you learn. Everybody fucks up, and who hasn't been arrested, right? So today I'm talking about the first time I got arrested. Let's do it. So the reason I decided to tell this story today is because after I posted my video yesterday of that dorm story, getting drunk for the first time, I started talking to a few guys from the dorms that I used to live with. I have a lot of awesome friends that I made living there, and they just reminded me of all the crazy shit we did and trouble we got into. So, alright, let's see where to start. So, one of the first rules in the dorms is, well, you probably shouldn't have a gun, no weapons. Technically, you're not supposed to drink alcohol if you're underage in the dorms. And you shouldn't be smoking weed in the dorms. So, well, like I said, I actually got written up for having a Nerf gun. That's a different story. I told you the story, I got drunk in the dorms, I was underage, whatever. They don't care about that. The weed, though. The weed is what they care about. Probably today, not as big a deal. Weed's illegal. Back in 2009, weed was not legal, and it was highly frowned upon, at least to smoke it in your dorm room. So, just to give you a little backstory on this dorm room, we were on an all-guys floor, and we had a female RA. I can't remember what RA stands for, resident advisor. She was basically the hall monitor. This chick's name was Stephanie, and without going into too much detail, she was a bitch, and she didn't like me very much for probably a few reasons. But, Stephanie aside, me and my buddy Claude are smoking weed in the room, and basically we had the setup figured out, at least we thought we did, for a way to smoke weed in the room and not get caught. And, yeah, what did that involve? Well, you take a towel, you put a towel underneath the bottom of the door, that way the smoke doesn't go out the bottom of the door. You put some tape around the door frame, that helps to keep the smoke from going out the sides and over the top of the door. And then you use what's called, I can't remember the name, you basically take a paper towel roll, or a tube, you fill it with dryer sheets, and then you blow the smoke through the dryer sheets, the idea being that it's going to remove the smell if all the smoke goes through the tube and the dryer sheets. So we thought we had this figured out. We had all this stuff set up, and we were even trying to blow the smoke out the window. That's really where I learned my first lesson in aerodynamics, that it doesn't matter if you blow the smoke out the window if the wind's coming in the window. But aerodynamics aside, we're sitting in there smoking, me and Claude invited his buddy with him to come smoke, and that was the problem. This guy did not take all of our preparation seriously, and this guy takes a fat rip out of the bong, and then just blows it right into the room. And we're like, oh fuck, man, you can't do that. They're gonna find out. They're gonna be able to smell it outside. This is not good. So, sure enough, 10-15 minutes later, Stephanie shows up and starts walking down the hall. Unfortunately for me, she's got to walk by my dorm to get to her room that's in the middle of the hall. So she walks by my door, gets to her room, and she goes, "It smells like marijuana, and I bet I can figure out whose room it is." And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble. I just got caught. So me and Claude start freaking out, and we gotta figure out what we're gonna do, because I do not want to get in trouble for having weed in the dorm room. Like, come on, man. So Stephanie does whatever she has to do, goes to her room, calls the police, and then just sits in the hallway and waits. Luckily for me, weed in the dorm room's not very high on the priorities for Pullman police. So it took them quite a long time to get there. I'd probably say it probably took them an hour to show up. So in this hour, me and Claude are trying to figure out how we're going to A, get the weed out of the room, B, get all the paraphernalia out of the room, And yeah, well, those are the two main considerations we had. We got to get all this shit out of here. And Stephanie is sitting in the hall, so we can't just like take the bong and walk out the door and put it somewhere else. She's gonna see that and be like, "Hey, that's no, stop!" So me and Claude came up with a solution. What did we do? Well, I had all this stuff in, I think it was like a big plastic bin, and I had a lot of paraphernalia for a guy that had just started smoking weed in like the last 6 months. I'm pretty sure I had a bong and a pipe and a bubbler. I remember I had bought a cheap vaporizer. So I had a tub full of drug paraphernalia, and I had to get rid of it as fast as I could. So our solution, we took a duffel bag. We stuffed all this stuff in the duffel bag, the weed, the bongs, the vaporizers, put it in the duffel bag, and we had to get it out of the room. We couldn't take it out the door because Stephanie's sitting in the hall waiting for us, trying to catch us. So Claude, we're on the 6th floor of this dorm, it's the top floor, the penthouse, Gannon penthouse, and Claude goes down to the ground floor, goes outside, and is waiting for me at the ground floor. So there's screens on the window, probably so people can't jump out of the windows, but that kind of created an obstacle because I couldn't put anything out the window. So I punched out this bottom of the screen, and I made an opening just big enough to fit this duffel bag through. Take this big duffel bag full of all the drug paraphernalia, push it out the bottom of the window, and then just let it drop 6 floors. And Claude managed to catch the duffel bag and then run it over to his dorm room. Somehow, none of the stuff in the bag broke. The bong didn't break, the vaporizer still worked, and yeah, so we got rid of all the paraphernalia. But the room still kind of smelled like weed, and we didn't want to have anything that the cops could find that they were going to, you know, be able to write me up for, give me a ticket, arrest me for. So, like I said, we had probably maybe an hour and a half before the cops showed up. So I spent the entire time vacuuming every square inch of my room. I was wiping down every single surface I could think of that might have like some leaves on it, some powder. And I'm going to be honest, my room was spotless. It was spotless within an hour. Probably the cleanest my dorm room ever got in preparation for the cops to get there. So, we finished cleaning up. We've gotten rid of everything. There's no drugs in the room. And we're like, alright, this is going to be alright. They're not going to find anything. It's not going to be a big deal. And Stephanie's just going to look like an idiot because she called the cops and they showed up for no reason. So, the cops show up. There's 2 of them. One was a guy. And one was a girl. And the girl, her name was Dawn Daniels. And she had a reputation in Pullman. I don't know if it was just for the dorms or just for Pullman generally. But her affectionate nickname was Dyke Daniels. She was a big lesbian, and she was not very nice. So, they show up to my room, and they're like, hey, we got a report that somebody might be smoking weed, marijuana, in this room specifically, and we're going to need to search your room. And I'm like, alright guys, that's fine, You can search my room, there's nothing in there, you're not going to find anything. Because I thought, hey, I had gotten rid of every possible piece of evidence. So, Dawn Dyke Daniels, whatever you want to call her, starts just tearing apart my room, and she's searching for anything she can find to try and arrest me for, you know? So she probably spends 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and can't find anything. And then at the last moment she goes, aha! And I'm like, oh fuck, what? There's nothing, she couldn't have found anything, there's nothing to find. She comes out with this little plastic container, probably about that big, like 1 inch by 1 inch, and she had managed to find a single leaf of marijuana. A single leaf. And when I say a leaf, I don't even mean like a big leaf. She found a leaf that was probably 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. It was about that big. It was tiny. Apparently, that was enough proof to take to court and do whatever she needed to do. So, they put me in the cuffs, and they started writing me a ticket, doing all whatever they gotta do, their paperwork and bullshit to, you know, write you up for possession of marijuana, which, not a crime now, but it used to be a crime. So, she writes me up. Luckily, they didn't actually need to take me to jail that day, because they found, like I said, 1 fucking leaf. It was that, god damn. I don't even know where she found it. I cleaned that room so well. So well. There was just not well enough for Don Daniels, I guess. So, yeah, I got caught. I got arrested. I had to go to court. And that's life. If you guys have been to court before, it's not much fun. They didn't make me spend any time in jail. Because, really? A little leaf of weed? Come on. I did have to do probation, I think, for like 90 days, something like that. So, during this probation, they one of the stipulations was that I was going to be drug tested, and obviously I couldn't be smoking weed on my probation. That's kind of goes in the face of everything, the whole point, right? I don't think I was supposed to be drinking either, but I managed to find a loophole. What was that loophole? Medical marijuana. So, I went over to Seattle, and I got my medical marijuana card. I suffer from low back pain. I was really overweight, and if you guys have been watching my stories, that first time I squatted in high school, I kind of jacked up my back, and my back was jacked up for a really long time. So, I did have a legit reason, chronic pain, kind of legit reason to get my medical card. And yeah, they don't even need a legit reason to give you a medical marijuana card, at least back in the day. If you get it with a good enough excuse, they'll give you one. Speaking of, I actually had a buddy who used my exact same problem, my condition, to get his own medical card. He didn't even have back pain. So, I get my medical card, and I take it to my probation officer, and I go, hey, so I know you're going to be drug testing me, but I've got this piece of paper that says I can legally smoke weed. And the probation officer's just like, she didn't say it, but I could tell by her face. She's like, you motherfucker. So, I was on probation. I was still smoking weed. And, yeah. Let's see. That's kind of the story. I can't remember how much everything cost me, all said and done. I'm trying to pay like $1,000 or something to the court. And I had to pay probation fees and all this stuff. But, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. And, yeah. Courtney, how many times have I been arrested? That's a good question. 3? I got more stories there, but I'm just going to talk about this one story. That also wasn't even the only time my room got searched for marijuana. The second time Stephanie called the cops on me, I did an even better job of cleaning my room, and they found nothing. They found no weed, and they had to leave empty-handed, and they had to talk to Stephanie being like, hey lady, you can't be calling the cops on these kids for some bullshit that's not even true. Because, well, I had weed in my room, but I had gotten rid of it, like I said. So, that's my story for you guys today. First time I got arrested. I didn't have to spend a night in jail, but they did put me in handcuffs, and like I said, I was written up for possession of marijuana, which, as you probably know, is no longer a crime in Washington, so I should probably see about getting that off my record. I think we might be able to do that now, who knows. So, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully that one, well, a little more substance than drinking Jaeger in the dorm rooms, but I had tons of dorm stories, tons of good friends still from the dorms, and yeah, I'll keep the stories coming, guys. 10 days down, 20 days to go. So far, so good. Thank you for watching, and what's the moral of this story? Don't get caught smoking weed in the dorm rooms, I guess, because now you can pretty much smoke weed wherever you want, and nobody cares, so cheers to that. Have a good one, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.